Okay, so let's say you have a business that you believe in more than anything else in the entire world. And let's say that you truly believe that you're number one in your niche, but when it comes to your social media channels, nobody's really engaging with your content and you're not seeing the results from it that you wish you were. Well, today I want to talk about 5 reasons that you could be facing problems and give you advice on how to fix those things. Starting at number 1, your post is not stopping the scroll. You know as well as I do that we live in a day where we're constantly consuming content. We're being trained by social media websites and platforms to continuously scroll through content so that we stay on there for longer periods of time. So if your post is not doing something to stop the scroll and grab people's attention, that's the first thing you can do to change it. Maybe it's to put a more enticing photo, something that people might recognize or can at least relate to, which we'll get to in just a minute. Maybe it's to put in some type of video that is something somewhat creative or exciting. Maybe you could put emojis in the post with your text and make sure that your text, the most important parts of that are going to be at the beginning if it's on something like Facebook or perhaps Instagram. But then when we talk about social media platforms, that's also going to change how this scroll happens. If you're doing a video on TikTok or Instagram Reels, perhaps the first couple of portions of that video is what you need to be the most enticing part to get somebody to stop. Maybe it's the caption. On Facebook, it's probably going to be the text because they're going to see that before the photo or the video in most cases. So just think about that. How can you get somebody to stop scrolling on your post? Coming in at number 2, maybe your post is just not relatable to the audience you're trying to present that to. Maybe you're posting something that has nothing to do about your business or whatever it is that you're trying to market, and therefore somebody else cannot relate to it and they're just going to scroll on past it. Now, in some cases, you're just going to get that regardless because perhaps the algorithm on certain social media websites is reaching out to the wrong audience, but there's also ways to fix that by using relevant tags and captions and just letting the algorithm work its magic to get you out to the right people. Now, there's other marketing tactics you could do to make sure that you're getting out to the correct audience, but you want to make sure that whatever you post is relevant to both your business as well as the people that would be your potential customers and audience. And rolling in at number 3, your post has no call to action. So if you're looking to get engagements on your post, sometimes you might just have to ask for that. Maybe in your post or whatever it is, you ask a question. So for example, in this YouTube video, what are some problems that you have on your social media websites that you would like me to talk about? Leave that in the comment section below. So what I just did was I added a call to action to give you a chance to stop and go and do something to the channel that I would like you to do. So you can do that in your social media post as well, whether this is a video, maybe it's a photo. If you want somebody to go sign up for an email, visit your website, buy tickets to something, make sure that you're including that call to action so that way you are telling your audience what it is you would like them to do to get more interactions and just to try to make that post do a little bit better. And coming in at number 4 is you're not posting enough. And I'm not saying that you need to post 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, but what I am saying is that you need to be posting frequently every single week. Now, you could post 2 to 3 times a week, 5 times a week, and those are all good, or maybe even once a week, depending on the type of business or whatever it is that you're using to promote. But if you're only posting 1 or 2 times a month, that becomes a problem. See, the more that you post and the more that you interact with the communities on these social media platforms, basically the more that you get people coming to these platforms to check out your stuff, the more these platforms are going to put you out there into the world. For example, here on YouTube, if I make a video that isn't performing very well with my selected audience, YouTube kind of slows down on pushing it out to other people. But if for some reason lots of people start watching my video, YouTube's going to push that out more frequently. And the best way to get seen more often is to do more posts. So maybe think about how many times you're posting and determine if or not you can post a little bit more to increase your odds of showing up in front of other people and making your social media platform more relevant. And tip number 5 is kind of a little bit of a personal pet peeve of mine, but I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to this as well. And that is that whatever you're posting is irrelevant content. And I see a lot of small businesses do this, and let me explain. So there's a few different ways that you could do things that are irrelevant. one of which is using hashtags of other businesses or things that don't mean anything in correlation to your particular business. Now, let's say, for example, you're a business in a certain town or city, and you want to use that town or city's hashtag so that way you could show up when people search for them. That makes sense. I find that being relevant because you are in that town, so there's a relevancy there for you to do that. But if you are near other businesses or other attractions and you're using their hashtags to show up in their search results, that's probably not a good thing. So let's say, for example, that you are a fishing shop, and then right across from you is an ice cream shop. So you want your audience to be people that like to fish, not necessarily people that like ice cream. But let's say, for example, that ice cream shop is very popular and tons of people like it, and you're constantly seeing tons of people going to this ice cream shop. So you think to yourself, well, hey, I'm going to start taking pictures of my fishing products and using their hashtag so that I show up in some of their search results because we're just across the street from one another. But what happens is when people start looking up that ice cream shop and they start seeing your pictures of bait and tackle and fishing lines or whatever else that it is, they're not going to care about your post at all. They're going to scroll past it, and typically the algorithm isn't going to like that, and it's going to view you as being irrelevant content. And then it could also just upset people because they don't want to see anything about fishing when they're looking up things like ice cream. So make sure that the content you're putting out is always relevant content to what you're doing, and you have some etiquette about your social media so that way you're not utilizing other people's spaces, because that's going to mess up their marketing. So those are just 5 really quick tips that I think are going to greatly help you improve your social media. But if you want to learn more tips like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Leave your creative comments in the comment section below. And as always, be sure to create something new today.